fleeting nature of life.
All right, fuck this. I'm gonna get something to drink.
Oh. We're just getting into a Charlie Chaplin-esque cycle of one of us being gone when the other two are ready consistently. I love it. When I joined this podcast, I was just hoping we could get into these kinds of shenanigans.
Did you just make a Charlie Chaplin reference?
Yeah.
My grandmother doesn't even watch Charlie Chaplin.
I don't watch. You make it
And
sound like
she's
to
dead.
know who. You make it sound like to know. Well, then she's not watching much of anything, Blake.
No, she's
You make it
talking
sound
to Charlie
like to
Chaplin
reference You make it sound like to reference Charlie Chaplin must mean that all I do during my free time is watch Charlie
now.
Chaplin.
I feel as though there's a correlation between referencing Charlie Chaplin and watching Charlie Chaplin. I don't think I'm going out on a limb here.
Honestly, if I knew the name of the Who's on First guys, I probably would have said that instead.
Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Who's on second?
Yeah, what's on first? No, who's on first? What's on second?
Yeah. Correct.
Nah, he's
No,
on
it's
third.
who's on first. No, who's on second?
We're not doing the bit, guys.
All right, I'm gonna start.
I mean, not
all
well.
right, here we go. Oh, by the way, Brad, the topic is zones of influence today.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I brought that up.
Okay, so here we go. 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome to League of Legends Anonymous, episode 196. It is me, your host, Wise Papa Smurf, here with constant and reoccurring co-host, Brad Adept Klein.
It's your boy. I showed up.
Welcome back, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been like forever.
It's been a while.
Since when did Destiny 2 come out? Because that's, I think, the last time you were on the podcast.
Oh, like September, October, something like that. No, I've been on one since then. Once in 2018.
Oh,
I'm doing
wow.
my quarterly visit.
It
It's
was,
about to be
it
the
was
end of
September
Q2
6th.
2018.
It was September 6th, 2017, for reference. So.
Yeah, but it's about to be the end of second quarter 2018, so I thought I'd make my quarterly journey in and, check in on you motherfuckers.
Well, good, man. It's good to have you back. Because I know we've been having that casting call, which we're still doing, by the way, for anybody who's,
Platinum Plus this season or last.
Platinum Plus.
Oh,
this
I
season
get
or
all
last.
of those emails.
Hilarious and, real people person, an extrovert, and everything else.
And also joining us this week, the best host, Ponderous Sea Lion. Welcome back to the show. Oh, thanks for having me on the show. Me.
I wasn't really going to introduce you, I didn't think.
Someone's used to doing a one-man podcast, you fucking twat.
Somebody's used to doing a one-man podcast because...
You just lull radioed yourself in there.
Yeah, well, what else am I to do?
Actually, really what I was doing, and I didn't really think ahead or pre-plan enough, is I was actually looking up what that dude called you, because I was going to introduce you as that. And since I can't find it quickly enough...
And this is what happens when you don't have show notes anymore because Sam Han is gone.
Oh, that's right. I texted it to you, so I can find it that way. Haha!
Don't worry, guys. It's going to be really worth it
God
when he
damn
finds
it.
it.
We are
Yeah.
hot out of the gate.
Yeah, I'll figure it out later. I'll squeeze it in later. I got it
Wait,
now.
you're going to take that? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm doing it as a shout-out. Shout-out to my man Icehouse, who came up with clever nicknames. And, since he's clever, I will use his joke at some point in this podcast. No one will see it coming. So, yeah.
Blake is known for his subtlety of delivery, so
Yeah.
ready for that.
Subtle Papa Smurf. Wise
Just
Papa subtlety.
the greatest at segues.
So, speaking of segues, this week's episode is on zones of influence, which we were going to talk about last week, but we got derailed in how terrible the meta was and how it's shit for the game and etc. And makes me hate life, and we talked about the back and forth of that. But this time we're actually going to talk about zones of influence, because particularly this week in community games, the topic was brought up, and it was actually pretty apparent when people weren't respecting those things. So, either one of you that wants to talk, can you explain kind of what we mean when we say zones of influence?
Okay, so we've got Brad pointing at the screen. He could be pointing at anyone or anything.
I
I'd
thought
like
he
to
was actually
remind
saying,
everyone.
like, I want this, but I think he means you take this one.
But he could also be pointing at either of us
He's
because we
giving you
don't.
the double guns and a combination of thumbs ups. So I'm assuming that means he wants you to take the floor.
You know what's cool is I went for like a nonverbal cue so that we wouldn't interrupt the podcast in order to convey who should speak next. And instead, that's been a solid minute.
Well, podcasts are an excellent nonverbal medium, so this is
Yeah, for you fucks to know to talk instead
successful.
of talking about me telling you to talk.
I'm enjoying. Oh, are we talking over each other?
I absolutely despise the both of you. So
I'll see you September 6th, 2018.
yeah, it was a good run, Brad. Thanks for coming. Appreciate
Good
it.
night, everybody.
It was a good 6-minute podcast. Next week's topic is gonna be circles of influence, and we can talk about that.
For real, for really real. We're gonna.
Okay,
talk about
so
it eventually.
Michael, shut the fuck up and tell the people what zones of influence actually mean, please.
Michael, shut the fuck up and talk. All right, so basically, a zone of influence is just what area your character has control over, or what area your character has the ability to
Can impact
make
maybe.
things to impact the game. Yeah, what immediate area around your character can they impact the game in? And they obviously change based on which character you're playing. Champion like Darius has a very small sphere of, or what are we calling them? Circles of influence. Is that what we're
Circle
calling
of influence, zone of influence. It doesn't really matter. The concept is still there because to get what your zone of influence is, you basically draw a circle around your champion of the maximum range of your abilities, right? So, like if you think about something like, I don't know, Ezreal is a good one, right? So his zone of influence or circle of influence, whatever, it's about 1,000 outside of his, his person, because that's how far his Q goes. Then there's also a zone of influence that goes out from his body one flash distance, and that's his E, and then it'll do some damage as the nearest acquired target, right? So that'll
And then
create...
you can add flash onto that, which is basically 2 flashes plus 1,000. So it's I think that an important thing to keep in mind is what, like, for your personal zone of influence, how far can you stay away from action and still be impactful, right?
Yeah.
So
that's I mean, it goes both ways because you are right. It's how far can you stay safely away, and then how close do you need to be to exert pressure?
Right. So especially for like 80 carries, zone of influence is largely like a Venn diagram, right? So you have the zone of influence of the enemy and then your zone as well. So 2 different circles, and the overlapping area is where you're both able to interact with the fight. So you generally want to make sure that you have as much overlapping as you can without their zone touching you. And that can be their zone plus flash. Like there are a lot of elements to keep in mind, but the big thing is the area where you guys both overlap, that's where you're fighting each other. And then anything where their zone can't touch, you're safe there. So the reason that this came up, Blake and I were playing community games the other day, and people were basically moving like 2 zones of influence away because they didn't feel safe, and so they weren't really able to contribute to the fight. This is I'm not necessarily articulating well, but
I'll tell you what. I can jump in and help you out on this. So, like, what Brad is trying to say is, I talk a lot about over retreating as a problem that faces lower elo players because they go, oh shit, I'm low health. I have to get out to safety right fucking now, right? Like, I'm done. I gotta run, right? When if you're somebody like Ezreal, even at 10 health, if you know what your enemy's zones of influence are, like where they can hit you, where they can do damage, and you stay outside of that, you can still contribute damage to a team fight by using your larger zone of influence to be able to continually dish out damage, right? Like your circle of like if I combine all my abilities together is bigger than theirs, right? It's the same thing that makes Caitlyn a lane bully, right? And if I draw out the circle of influences, and it looks like a whole bunch of circles that are drawn around your champion at the very center, right? The closer and closer and closer you get to a champion, the darker those circles get. Because the more dangerous it is, the more abilities that you are in the range of, and auto attacks, right? So, like, over retreating is the problem of imagining your enemy's circles are way bigger than they actually are.
Right.
Does that
and
make sense?
Yeah, and I think that I brought up the Venn diagram thing as like a starting point, even though that's, I guess, a bit more advanced than just what your circle is. But I brought it up because most of the people that tend to run quickly are the squishy people, right? So people that are generally ranged and have pretty big zones of influence or circles of influence. And they're oftentimes running from people with smaller circles. So what we were seeing was, let's say we'll take Caitlyn. That's a good example. Let's say Caitlyn has 1,000 range, which is not right, but we'll use 1,000 because it's a round number. Caitlyn has a 1,000 range circle around her, and she's running from Mordekaiser. Well, Mordekaiser has one ability with, 450, 500 range, give or take. So his circle's half the size of Caitlyn's circle. So she can be 3/4 of her circle away and be totally safe the entire time with proper kiting.
As an aside, that ability, Mordekaiser's highest range ability being his ultimate, if you know that that's down, then his circle of influence shrinks even further.
Sure.
To maybe like 300 or something.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll use 300 for this circumstance. So we have 1,000 versus 300. So if you stay 500 range away, so half of your circle, you're completely out of their circle. You don't have to be at the very limit of your zone of influence. You just need to be far enough that you are relatively safe with a little buffer. And what we were seeing was the 1,000 range moving to 1,500, because then if anyone comes close, they can help, but they're not in range to do consistent damage, which is your job.
Mm-hmm. And like, okay, so truthfully, these zones of influence things, they really impact every bit of how you play a champion. And it's really much more dangerous on some champions than others, right? So the ones that I'm thinking of that zones of influence are super important on are long range engage, right? Like Vi or Leona.
Zach is a perfect one, yeah.
Or champions that burst you to death with a combo, like Annie.
I think that's a good point. Like, Zach is not quite as important because there's a charge up time. It's especially important with the no charge, like a Leona, right? Are you within Leona's E range? If yes, okay, you need to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I mean her ult later in the game, it's on a very low cooldown, and it's very long range. So you need to be ready if you're in the circle of how far her ultimate is to quickly press whatever your escape button is to get the fuck out if that starts to fall, right? So like that should be mentally like in your mind, oh, I am in danger right now, right? So you talked about the Venn diagram thing, and I really want to return to that. In the bot lane in particular, it's not just you and the enemy. It's you, your support, the enemy, their support. Right? So there are 4 fucking circles constantly in motion in bot lane. And if anybody crosses to where they're in the intersection of you and your support's Venn diagrams, that is an engagement point. Like very often they are in a lot of danger. you should either be all-inning or trading at any point in time when somebody crosses that threshold. More than likely. I mean, these are rules of thumb, right? But that's heavily dangerous and punishable territory. Likewise, as like an ADC in particular, you should strive to not walk into the zone of influence overlap between the ADC and the support. Right? Like that is death for you. That's a really bad place to stand. So avoiding those things at all costs will make your laning phase a hell of a lot better, and then maximizing your own, right? Another example of that during laning phase is kind of what Brad was talking about. When you outrange your opponent, you can get free chip damage by just using your auto attacks or abilities when they can't answer back. So many times at lower elo, I'll see somebody pick Caitlyn and play Caitlyn like the longest range farmer on the planet. Right? Like they stay way the hell back and hey, I can safely CS from a mile away. Isn't this champion great? But the reality is, Caitlyn, she can be played forward and your zone of influence is fucking huge. And every time they step up to CS, they get a bullet in the face. She's a lane bully for that exact reason. Right? And if you're not playing her that way, you're just giving up a ton of pressure. Right? It's like picking Leona and standing behind your ADC. So
Is that not what you're supposed to do?
no, coincidentally, that's frowned upon in Leona circles. But
What about with Taric though? Braum?
No, still a bad idea. So I actually want to like compound on this too. Like vision expands zone of influence. Right? So what I mean by that is if you're standing in a bush and they don't have vision of you, but you know they've walked into that bush, you now have to expand the zone of influence all the way the length of that bush in every direction because they could be anywhere in it. Right? So their little dot that's the center of the circle is now that whole effing bush. Right? So you have to respect that when somebody takes a vision advantage on you. The jungler is another example. So, Michael, what am I talking about when I talk about the jungler as like a zone of influence?
Well, I mean, it goes with the vision conversation, but the jungler zone of influence basically is like, if they come into your lane, what is their range of being able to impact you when they come into the lane? So, like an example of one with very long zone of influence when they walk into the lane is Lee Sin, because he's got both his ward hop, his flash, and his Q to all close distance and impact enemy or ally champions. So he's got a very long zone of influence, whereas one with a lower range of influence would be like Master Yi. That's why he doesn't have very good ganks, because all he's really got is his Q, which needs to be used in specific ways rather than just as an all-purpose gap closer like you can use Lee Sin's W. So because of that, while the fact that he's missing like CC and stuff is also part of the reason why he's bad, the real reason that he's bad at ganking is because he has such a low range of influence on his ganks and when he enters the lane.
Okay. No, that's actually very legit. But that was actually not the point I was thinking about.
Cool.
Yeah, no, that was good.
That's why
though.
we need
I really,
show notes, though.
No, shut up. I really like that though. It was great. No, what I meant was if you think about it in terms of a jungler and vision, right? So if I don't know where the jungler is, they could literally their zone of influence is like the whole fucking map.
What's the
Right,
old
'cause
meme?
they could be in any
If
bush.
you don't know where Garen is, Garen's in the bush.
Right.
Oh god, that's probably like a 2012 meme, but
It is. But I mean,
That was
no.
before I even started playing.
So I mean, yeah, it's that exact kind of thought of, well, if I don't know where the jungler is, literally he could be anywhere that I don't have vision on. So I have to draw, like I told you about drawing a circle around the support when they're in that bush, that lane bush. You're pretty much doing that
Around everywhere you don't have vision.
Right. So That's what can make a jungler completely, absolutely fucking terrifying. That is also why, as a low elo jungler, you should strive not to do things that give away your position unless you need to get value. Right?
Now, just counterpoint.
Sure.
As a low elo jungler, you can pretty safely assume no one's watching their minimap anyways.
I mean, that's fair, but like, what I'm talking about is I see junglers like walk in to lanes, and they're like, "Oh, gank's not happening here. I'm just gonna walk out through this lane to get to the other side of the river." You know what I mean? I don't know how many times I've
Yes.
seen people do that, where they like, "Oh, well, I'll just take the shortcut of walking directly through the lane." Well, like, okay, anybody who's paying attention knows where you are, and more importantly, they know where you're not. Right?
Also,
Like, go ahead.
big bonus reason that's a dick move. You're gonna leech some XP from your laner, and if you like go for a scuttle crab at level 2 and then walk through the lane, you could prevent them from hitting level 3 at the same time as the opposite laner, and that's a big fucking deal. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy.
All right, and on as a note for that, for junglers, don't tell any of the mid laners this, but if they're pushed under their turret and you're taking the allied wraith camp, you can leech
Stand
XP
at the
without them
edge of
even
the
knowing.
wall.
Stand at the edge of the wraith camp wall, and you can steal EXP.
But don't do it like pre-level 6.
Do
Like-
it always because they won't
No.
know about it.
I will know. I will tell them.
No, be a
You go into your
secret
game
dick.
and I will
Yeah.
tell them.
Yeah, you
The
just be
only
that
thing that
secret
matters in this
dick,
game
you
is
know?
that nobody knows what a little EXP stealing gremlin you are. You can steal as much EXP as you want if they don't know about it.
I feel like Ponderous is that guy that like signs up for like a kid's YMCA basketball team and just blackjacks the rest of his team. And then,
I haven't done that, but that sounds awesing. So
and then
maybe I
like
will.
shows
Do you
up
know
as
what
like
hold on, Michael. Do you know what a blackjack is?
I used my context clues to assume what it meant.
Hit
Can
me.
you give me a dictionary definition?
No, you tell me what you assume it meant, and then we'll
Uh,
then play. No, don't pantomime, you twat.
But I'm giving nonverbal cues, Brad. I thought you were totally into that.
But the joke was gonna be that he had no fucking idea. and
well,
that you
it's
were about to
clear he
drop
has
the
no
hammer.
idea.
Well, I didn't say that I had an idea.
He's like, I like the idea of blackjacking my team. What do you think you're gonna give
Yeah.
them all 21? Go out for drinks?
No.
I don't
So
know. I feel like I've lost control over this.
So, context
situation.
cue. A blackjack is a small bag of like rocks or hard things that you
Or
beat
like a
somebody
piece
over
of
the...
lead?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, now that I know what it is, I can say with confidence, yes, that does sound awesome.
Yeah, he would like using an implement to knock children unconscious. So he
Yes.
can carry their small defenseless bodies across the finish line by dunking
Yes.
on other kids their size.
Right.
That's Michael in a nutshell.
Exactly. Okay, I'm glad that we solved this.
Yeah. Big old Michael Argent. Lumbering Walrus up in here.
Thanks again, Ice House. Was that him too?
That was him. Yeah, that was him. He did that. So, anyway, now that we've got off the subject of knocking out children, let's
Let's
talk
go
about
back
that.
to the subject.
So
of
let's talk about
knocking
that
out
again. Let's go really hammer home knocking out children. What's the effective means you do it? You know, when is it appropriate? How do you not alarm their parents? All sorts of things. You know, but no,
We
realistically.
could have a whole podcast about
Also,
that.
do we have to call it blackjack? Come on, this is 2018.
What do you call a blackjack in 2018? Did it change names?
I don't know.
Am I
It just
using
feels
old
like-
English?
Person
It
jack.
feels like I can't see color. Why can't it just be like a knee jack?
Person jack. Right?
Just like a-
jack?
Back of the head jack.
Back jack.
Do you guys just white guilt
'Cause
the
you're just
word blackjack?
hitting them in the
Is that what we
spine.
just did?
I feel like you had an intention that I don't stand by.
So,
Who, me or Blake?
Oh, Blake.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
that was always me.
He's
My
from Missouri.
sociopathic tendencies are very much on the surface, so don't ever say that about me.
So anyway, back to where we were. Jungling, right? So your zone of influence not only impacts how you gank, it impacts kind of where you're at. And the difference maker, whenever I say it shows where you are and it also shows where you're not, like this is the difference maker between like me jungling and like ponderous jungling, right? Like if he knows where you are, he's going to invade and take away other camps from you because he knows you're not there and thus it's safe for me to deprive you of resources, right? Like I'm not that with it as a jungler. Should be. It's a pretty easy concept, but you know, it's something that he can do with just that piece of information, right? And that is literally all about zones of influence because you walk out and the map is now your circle is gone off that half of the map. You have no influence over it.
Right. If you're ganking mid, you have no, and you know, obviously sometimes ganking is the right play to make, but once you gank mid, you have no threat of ganking top. And the enemy top laner can play a lot differently than they might play if they weren't sure where you were.
Yeah, like if you watch most medium to high elo streams, it's like I see the jungler's bot side, I'm going ham.
Yeah. If they're in a position where they'd like to go ham but are not because of the jungler. Once they see the jungler, that was their only inhibiting factor.
Right,
So
and like you know, in terms of the not going in, it's like I'm under my turret, I'm probably gonna get dove. Oh, I see their jungler bot side, I can hang out and catch this wave.
Yep.
Like both ends of going in or running the fuck away are influenced by where the jungler is.
And that's the thing that people don't understand about jungle, or that they underappreciate about jungling in general, is that like they don't appreciate the when you are they don't appreciate
That's like some greatest showman shit, Brad. I hope that really came through on the audio. Anyway, they don't appreciate
don't
what
appreciate-
I did
as a
whisper
co-host.
mystery while I did it. Mystery.
I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh, they don't appreciate that when you're not showing on the map, it doesn't mean that you're not helping the team. Because you not showing on the map can actually be very beneficial to the team in certain situations. Because
Right. Being a question mark ping is good.
exactly, like they can't play the same. Okay, at a high level, they
I
can't
was
play
about to
how
say,
they
do
would
you
like
think that
to.
actually makes a
Again, low
difference?
elo listeners,
Like I said-
myself included. This is
You
not
gotta give. Okay, so like
super impact you.
my thought about it is like you have to give the people that you're playing with and against, you have to give them the basest amount of credit until they show you that they're not worthy of it, and then you can immediately just abuse them, like I abuse small children on the basketball court
Right.
when
It's
I
not-
first inject.
No blood, no foul, bitches.
Rub a little dirt on it, get back in there.
Yeah, tell
Shoot,
your teacher at nap time. This is
I'm on
Buffalo
fire.
Ball.
I'm on
No, but-
fire out there.
But kind of to that point, you know, like I've never been super high elo. I've been from like bronze to plat promos, I think was my highest. And I've had games in silver where I was like walking towards the lane. I'm like, oh, I think they saw me. With no knowledge, but just kind of they clicked one step in the direction. I was like, I feel like they saw me. And I've also had games in like bronze and gold where I'm just walking and I'm like, they're not paying attention to their mini map because I walked through 3 wards that I knew were there up the river to top lane and they didn't move. And I'm like, they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention. They're not. And that's when you abuse it. And you're just like, okay, I can do whatever I want because no one's looking at anything.
A ward doesn't help you if, like, a ward is information, and information is only as useful as you make it. Information is, in a lot of cases, the deciding factor that wins a game. But if you're being handed information and doing nothing with it, it doesn't matter if you have it if you don't use it. You know, that's
Actually,
something people don't
to be fair,
appreciate.
like information can actually backfire at low elo because people will plant that ward in the river and be like, "I'm now safe from ganks because I have this
Exactly.
ward,"
That's
and
what I
then
was
they
building up.
don't
Yeah.
look at it, and it's like they play way up and they just get ganked because it's like they had the information, they relied on the fact that they would use that information if it became relevant, and then they didn't. You know, So there's one more thing I want to talk about in particular with like zones of influence and laning in particular. Mid lane, right? And this one I'm aiming to you, Brad. Uh, as a player of a lot of assassins, I mean, Brad likes the mechanically intensive assassin type champions like your Zeds, your Lees, whatever, any of those really. Um, even Fizz at one point. I remember you played a lot of Fizz at one point.
Ari, Fizz, Diana, everyone where I have to push a lot of buttons
Yeah.
and make someone poof.
So on that, like, how much more as an assassin do you pay attention to zones of influence, or do you at all?
So, um, generally speaking, assassins are melee, right? So your early game, you have to really think about how your trading's working, right? Because and by trading, I don't even necessarily mean trading damage. I mean trading your health bar for CS or any of your various currencies, right? Whether it's health, whether it's mana, whether it's um,
Gold.
yeah, yeah, I guess, or lack of gold. Um, so that's really tricky because, especially in melee matchups, you can like kind of bully someone a little bit and keep them on the edge of their influence, their zone, because they're worried about you jumping on them. And as an assassin, that's really important, right? Like you want them to if they come into your zone to be fucking terrified. So you just like step at them. It's like trying to make somebody flinch a lot of the time. I feel like as an
Okay.
assassin.
So you've touched on something that I really want to hammer home. When your zone of or when your health is low, or you're within like potentially lethal health range, right? Your zone of influence actually drops to 0. So to expand on that concept, if I am in the other person's zone of influence at all and they have potentially fatal damage on me, I can't do anything except run or I will die. And if I can't do anything except run, my zone of influence is nothing. Right? So assassins in particular and lane bullies and whatever else can abuse that. Lane bullies because they'll just push you to a breaking point and then use that pressure to shove you back. Assassins, they have like kill pressure at higher percentages of health, and then they'll use that kill pressure to push you back. But it happens at entirely different points in the game, right? Like what Brad was indicating is assassin's kill pressure generally comes later because most assassins have a dog shit laning phase. Or ult reliant or whatever. I mean, maybe not Ari so much, but like
Like
Diana.
LeBlanc has a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
LeBlanc is a good one.
I mean,
But again, those are ranged champions.
those are the range assassins. But if you look at like even like Fizz, like you have a pretty decent shot at killing someone at level 3, right? Like it's doable, but you still have to get to level 3 in a good enough position to be able to do that fight. So I think the ultimate example is Cassidy, right? Where like you have no mobility prior to level 6. You can kill people. You can kill people on any champ at any level if they fuck up. But in Cassidy, you're pretty well just like, well,
You
I'm
have
just
to be playing against a complete potato to kill somebody.
yeah, yeah. You're like, I'm just bopping along. If I get a gank, that's cool. If not, I'm just gonna try to farm for a bit. But then, as soon as 6 hits, your zone of influence goes from your auto attack, your E range, which is what, like 300 units or 350
Well, I think
units.
your Q is like 600, let's say. So you go
Okay,
from 600,
600 to 600 plus another 6 to 1200, because your dash is about that far too. So like your zone of influence doubles, and that's a thing that continually changes. Gnar is another good example, right? Like if he's ranged, he has a way bigger zone of influence than if he's melee. But if you get into that smaller melee zone of influence, there's a way greater impact.
Okay, so let's talk about that, the greater impact. Because, like, I think of zones of influence as, like, circles drawn in pencil around your champion, right? So, like, I take your auto attack range, and that's one circle. I take your Q range, and that's another. Your W, your E, and then I adjust for whether those things go through minions or whatever, right? But the more of those things that overlap, the darker the circle is, right? So think about just I can land one ability on you, and it'd be kind of a light hash. And then as I get nearer and nearer into my champion, it gets darker and darker and darker. And the darker you are into somebody's zone of influence, the more dangerous they are. And champions like Gnar in Mega Gnar form, or like Darius, is like his zone of influence is super small, but like black.
But you don't want to be in it.
Right. It's like super small, but fucking crazy dangerous.
And as a side note, that's part of the reason why I recommend, especially low elo Darius players, to take Ghost as their secondary summoner, Flash Ghost, because you can take Teleport. Sure, it's not bad. Teleport works fine. You could also take Ignite if you wanted to. Ignite's really good. Like, that's the thing that people would like. If you're going to take a combat summoner on Darius, they're like, oh, I should take Ignite because I've already got my bleed, so that does damage over time, and then Ignite does damage over time. But they don't appreciate the strength of Ghost and how much it purely because it impacts their zone of influence, how important that can be to accentuating the champion's strengths, because having Ghost is going to be worth way more. The amount of distance that you can cover with Ghost is going to be worth more than, in my opinion, Teleport or Ignite, especially at lower elos where you don't really know how to teleport properly as a general.
So also, Exhaust does the same thing, but in opposite, right? So like Ghost, you're going to move faster in gap close. Exhaust, they're not capable of escaping you. Same kind of difference, opposite effect.
So, Blake, you were talking about zone of influence is essentially like becoming increasingly darker as you near the champion, right? So like,
Yeah.
if you're right here, I can do more than if you're a few feet further away, etc.
Right. Well, I mean, I have one ability I can layer on you, and let's say like for some champions it's going to be different, right? Because like Ezreal, the Q range is still going to be pretty dark, and that's his longest range because that's what he maxes, and that's where the most of his damage comes from, right? And his W range, although long and although it's through minions, it doesn't do that much damage, so it wouldn't make it all that much darker, right? But
Right.
but his EQ auto attack is like actually real high burst damage, and that would be pretty fucking dark, right?
Wait, what I was thinking was like for me, that zone, like it's not always a circle, right? So like, here's a good example: Blitzcrank, his zone of influence is equally dark if you're in hook range, right? No matter where in that circle, it's the same. But the minions can block that, or your teammates can block that. So you have like chunks taken out and angles taken out. So it could look like fucking Pac-Man, right? If you're like walking in and there's a minion in front of you, then there's a zone where he can't hit. And so it's not just circles. Like that's where you have to take into account, can this go through minions? Is it a targeted ability? Is it something that can be blocked? If it's something that can be blocked, then there are a lot of other things you can play around in order to avoid said damage.
Right. I mean, the Venn diagram concept of it, it's illustrative and it's easy to understand, but it is reductive in its own way. But it's mostly good for like, you use that example of like, it's a Venn diagram. Think of it like that. And then people understand what you mean. But anybody who's ever played League of Legends has an understanding of how many moving parts there are in any given game.
There are a lot more intricacies. You're right. We're not speaking to a blind audience.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like with
but I think it's a really good thing to point out, though, particularly with like Blitz and Ezreal, is like with Ezreal, so many supports miscalculate Ezreal's zone of influence because they're like, oh, I can catch them right now. They're in mine, and Ezreal's close. But it doesn't matter if they're in a minion wave because none of Ezreal's shit but his W goes through minions. So the follow-up damage is going to be like 0. And that's because you miscalculated your own ADC's zone of influence. Right? And you may be throwing yourself ass first into an overlapping circle of both their ADC and support, and you're going to get corn-cobbed hard. So...
Is that
yeah.
similar to getting blackjacked, or?
No, it's more of like you take a corn cob and jam it up somebody's ass. That's what that is.
Did you make that up, or have
On
you
the
actually?
spot. Actually.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I was just wondering.
No,
if that's
it's not like Missouri slang. We're not
good
like,
old Missouri.
I'm gonna take her out back and corn cob her. Nope, didn't happen.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I don't give a shuck if it is Missouri slang.
Welcome back. Welcome back, Brad.
Legend Anonymous will be right back after these messages.
Welcome back, Brad. You did it. I'm proud. I'm automatically proud of that horrible dad joke. Fantastic. Well done, sir. So,
I feel like I'm the redheaded stepchild of this podcast.
well, you are right now because you're like in the presence of two people that are great at derailing conversation. So,
And I'm not?
huh? Well, no,
Am I
you're-
not the
you're
man
more
that you
like-
spent 20 minutes talking about the Cat in the Hat video game for PS2 with? By the way, have I ever talked about the Cat in the Hat game for PS2 on this podcast before?
Yeah,
Because
we've
I-
already actually gotten like hate mail about that sent into the shows. Like, no, Cat that has dog shit video.
I don't. Listen, if you're fucking Chad Stonecock and you're listening to this podcast right now, fuck you, because the podcast has gotten so much better since I've been on it with additions such as Cat in the Hat for PS2, and
Yeah,
that's all. The only thing I'm proud of.
That's actually gonna improve your mechanics a lot in League of Legends when you can play flawless Cat in the Hat.
Hey, if you're
For
listening to a
PS2.
podcast to help improving your mechanics, I'll tell you.
Yeah. No, actually, I was at Goodwill the other day, and I saw some shitty video games for PS2, and I'm like, man, I should just buy these and send them to Michael. He has terrible taste in video games. He would
I
probably
do.
love this shit.
I do.
It was like educational games, like block matching.
Oh
and
my
shit.
god, I definitely would
Like
play
there was a Sesame Street game in there. I was like, yeah, from Michael's childhood.
I actually used to have a Sesame Street game.
I
for like
would have
keys-
put money on it that was the case.
it's like such a primal memory. I can't remember very much about it, but I know that it existed, and yeah. There's not really much else to that one.
Yeah. So I mean, Brad, say something. I don't think I can hear you. Nope,
Oh,
can't
yeah,
hear you.
Brad's
You're
dead.
muted.
Well, that's a tragedy. Oh, we heard something.
I heard something.
Hear
too.
stuff now?
Yep.
Oh, there he is.
That's
Sound
weird. I muted and unmuted my mic, given to me by the LOLA podcast.
It's a quality microphone.
It's very unpredictable.
Yeah, Audio Technica is known for their high quality microphones. You know, otherwise they wouldn't have managed to be an off-brand audio microphone producer for over 20 years. So,
Great joke.
no, that's an advertisement for our sponsor, Audio Technica.
Is it?
No,
That's
it's
what I
not.
thought. Be honest with everybody, Blake.
I don't think Audio Technica.
Most of all, yourself.
I don't think Audio Technica can afford to sponsor programs with how reasonably priced their mics are. Hit us up, Audio Technica. Anyway, back to zones of influence, guys, because we gotta kind of wrap this thing out.
I think we've covered it pretty well. I mean, one thing to keep in mind, and this is, I guess, like on the edge of it, right? We talked a lot about like staying within your zone so you can impact fights. One thing to keep in mind, especially if you're super low health early in the lane, is are you within flash auto range? Because if you are, then it's too late. Like you have to flash before that happens. Like if you're one hit and you're in flash auto range, you need to be the one that flashes first.
Okay.
So many
As a
times-
counter proposal, what if instead I wait and react to their flash where they've already input the auto attack animation? I flash afterwards. It follows me and kills me. Would that be better?
Oh, yeah, no, that's great because then you die and also burn flash.
Okay, cool. I'm glad we
And
cleared that up.
and you learned a valuable lesson.
And you'll never do that again
Yeah,
as
you'll
long
never
as
do
you
it
play.
Until the next time that you play, and you're like, they're not gonna flash on me, and then they flash, and then you're fucked.
So, okay, I do want to note that these things shrink with cooldowns, right? And that's another thing that low elo players tend to not consider, right?
Use Blitzcrank as an example.
Okay, great. Blitz. Low elo, you can throw a blitz hook and miss at level 1. And they will still stay far the fuck away from blitz. Like he could just magically throw another hook on like rapid fire. And they're like, oh shit, oh, I don't want to stay near that guy. Because the reality is, if blitz misses hook, he can't do anything.
He goes from being a champion to not being a champion.
Yeah, he's literally, he can auto attack for minimal damage. And so that sucks. And the cooldown is like 18 seconds. So literally for the next 20
And a
seconds,
third of his mana.
Yeah, and it takes a shitload of mana. It takes 100 mana to throw a hook.
Okay, dude, that was the most whack part of playing Dota, is that Pudge, which is basically Blitzcrank in that game, kind of, his hook costs like 2/3 of his mana bar at level 1 instead of 1/3. It's pretty crazy.
But isn't like Pudge stupidly broken, and if you hit that hook, they were just dead?
Probably, I don't claim to understand enough about that game.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, like Blitz, you know, his zone of influence is crazy potent, but if he misses his hook, it's gone. It's just gone. There's nothing. He goes from all or absolutely balls
And
zero.
that's part of the reason why he doesn't get played in pro play, too. Because those
Except
guys
for-
are really good at dodging. Well, I'm not saying he never gets played.
Yeah,
but-
no, well, there was like the one Ballista Aframu,
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and then never ever again.
Right. And it's because he's so...
He's one-dimensional, right? So
yeah, he's one-dimensional.
you
exactly.
hit that hook and you do a crazy thing, or you don't hit that hook. And sometimes there's only one enemy on the opposing team that you even want to hook, right? If
And
they
those
have a
guys are
good throw.
really good at playing against Blitzcrank because they've done it hundreds of times.
Right. On the opposite, side of the spectrum, you have like a Thresh, right? Where it's similar idea. You throw a hook, you get a catch, but also you can save people from peril. You can pull people into your team, push them away from your team, slow everybody down. There's a lot more elements. Whereas Blitzcrank's like, well, I didn't hit my hook, but I could silence people for a very short amount of time. So,
One
how about
quarter
a
second.
single knockup?
I can also punch them with the shittiest animation in the entire game. So,
So, okay. Blitz is a super example. Morgana's another one. If you miss the binding, nothing on her kit works. Right? Like, oh, I'm going to put a pool beneath you. It does, like, no damage. Just walk out of it. And then
Yeah,
she has
shield.
auto attacks.
at least does stuff. Defense.
Yeah, I'm saying not at level 1, though. Or
Oh,
level
sure.
2. You miss that, and you're just down until your next cooldown's back. And your zone of influence is dog shit. Right? Like... And here's what I mean by low elo players fuck this thing up, right? Because there are times at which, like, everybody on a team, like in laning phase, we laid it out pretty good, right? But in a team fight, everybody will blow all of their shit to kill, like, one person. And then the rest of the team will go, well, I'm not going in now. So-and-so died, right? When in reality... if they counter-engaged right now, the other team doesn't have any abilities left. Like, their zone of influence got spent. So they're just useless.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing that we talk about why burst champions are so good, especially at low elo, right? Because people are like, oh, he hit me real hard. I got to run. Not, he hit me real hard, but I'm not dead, and he has no more buttons left.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same idea. It's like, well, they killed our one guy. Yeah, they used 5 ults to do it. You have 4 ults left. Go fuck them in the mouth.
Mm-hmm. And spread that fucking.
Can we put that on a T-shirt? please?
Go fuck them in the mouth, Lola podcast.
Yes.
I think
We
we'd
have-
be
we-
inviting something that I don't really want to encourage.
I mean,
I
to
don't-
be
I don't
fair,
know
we
what
could
you
put
mean.
we have 4 alts. Go fuck them in the mouth.
That would be
Exactly.
better. That would be more context to that, you know?
Well, if there's one thing that activity needs, it's context. So
Wait a minute.
Well, I feel like if you say go fuck them in the mouth, Lola podcast, you're telling people to go fuck us in the mouth, having read that on a shirt. And
no,
I don't want to be
it,
like,
it
hey,
depends. If you put the first part on the front of the shirt and then our logo
No,
on the back of the
like-
shirt.
so it's
Like-
like go
No,
fuck
yeah,
them, and then
go
on the
fuck-
back it says in the mouth.
And then
No.
like a hyphen, Lola podcast.
No,
Because
no,
when
you
we're
just put the
cited
whole
as the people
saying.
instructing the go fucking in the mouth, not the
Exactly.
people that
You could
are
do it that way,
into
too.
it. We're not into it. We're just like, yeah, go fuck them in the mouth. Why not? Have at it.
We're also opening a new pizzeria. Hey, go fuck them.
Your Italian is just amazing.
He was doing an accent first.
And that's actually just kind of, hey, go fuck them in the mouth. Why not? You know, that's just like I'm from the East Coast. It's a thing. You could
It's
call
regional.
You could call it New York. We're like, hey, that guy, fuck him in the mouth. Why not? Forget about it, you know? Or, we could do different accents. It's okay. We'll do those later. We'll save them.
All
My
Italian
zone of
ac-
influence doesn't need too many accents in one go.
Yeah, all accents are bigger in Texas apparently, and more terrible.
Fuck him in the mouth!
You go fuck him in the mouth. That's
There's
our
a
Italian. He's
There's a
Italian.
witch on the web!
There's a widget on the web.
There's a witch on the web! He gonna get fucked in the mouth. That witch on the web is. I'll tell you what. Anyways,
I love it that you combined there's a widget on the web with like King of the Hill somehow. Made like a weird hybrid of god awful Texas.
I like to party.
So
flashing
forward. Okay, so we've talked about Flash, how that makes a difference. We talked about we didn't talk about like Ignite adding like darkness to kind of what your zone of influence would be, right? So it'd be like more severe, more dangerous within the context of Ignite. Other than that, guys, is there anything that we have not looked at or talked about in zone of influence?
Not a thing we haven't talked about, but we need to hammer home, like, if you are a person that is meant to deal damage and you still have people around that can keep you at least relatively protected, keep doing damage.
Yes.
Like, if you're an 80 carry and you can get 1,000 damage off before you lose your last 100 health, it's probably worth it. Like, and maybe you don't die there too, right? Like, it's not guaranteed that you die. Like, but if you're an 80 carry that has a Thresh standing right in front of you, keep hammering away and hope that they protect you or do their best. Like, obviously, if you're 100% dead, do as much damage as you can. If
Right.
you're 90% dead, do as much damage as you can. And, like, don't be afraid to die hurting people.
Excellent.
I think that's the thing. I think that's the big thing, right? Is we have so many fights where it's like, dude, just get 2 more autos off. It's like, well, I might have died. Yeah, but maybe you'd have killed them, right? They're like, if you are definitely dead or most likely dead or probably dead, just hammer away.
Yeah, no, I think that's legit. So there is actually like one more thing I just thought about on Zone of Influence. If you know your opponent is trying to abuse their abilities at a Zone of Influence and you have a move that, say, dodges that, right? Like a Fizz E or a Master Yi Q or whatever to make you zip to a different place or become untargetable or whatever, right? You can walk into somebody's zone of influence knowing that they will try to use an ability on you, predict it, and then turn the tables, right? Like, to use Michael as an example, I see him do this shit on Master Yi all the time. Like, a bad Master Yi will use his Q to gap close, even when he doesn't have to. A good Master Yi will run at them, they will try to do something to him, and then he will disappear, dodge their ability, and then kill them.
So really good point kind of there involved, right? Let's say you're playing Xin Zhao, point and click dash, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you walk into the lane on a gank, you have that dash radius as your zone of influence. As soon as you dash, your zone shrinks because, I mean, you can take flash into account, but whatever. You would have had flash plus that, so the same thing. It shrinks by the radius of that dash, which is why walk into the lane, auto attack them, wait for them to flash, and then dash most of the time, right? Like you don't need to blow your gap closer straight away because if you blow your gap closer, then your zone of influence is way smaller and you're far more predictable in the things you can do.
In other words, you become a bitch when you blow your gap close instantly. So don't be a bitch.
Or like a eeny weeny teeny weeny little bitty shrinking weeny small zone of influence man.
That was better than what I said. So
No, that was actually the nail on the head right there. So,
yeah.
boys, we've wrapped up Zone of Influence. I think that's a really important thing that's actually pretty difficult to practice. It's a really easy to understand concept. It's difficult to practice. It's difficult to conceptualize in a game while you're doing a whole bunch of other things, right? So, do you guys have any tips or tricks or anything to kind of help somebody conceptualize in game what I need to do for Zone of Influence, or does it just become a feel over time?
You just need to play actively and not play on autopilot because Zone of Influence is actually very easy to understand. Even if you don't know the exact number of units that a champion's abilities are or whatever, if you've played the game for a decent amount of time, you know roughly the range of most of the abilities in the game, or at least you should. And once you know that, and you know all their gap closers, and you know that they pretty much every champion takes flash, you should actually have a good understanding in theory of what the champion's zones of influences are. Like it's not actually hard to picture it. It's not hard, or like if you're focused on just making sure that you respect zones of influence, they're actually pretty easy to understand, I think. But the problem comes when you're playing on autopilot and you're not respecting the opponents and you're not thinking like, okay, this Xin Zhao is within flash E range of me, so I have to play safer than I normally would. It comes from like, yeah, I could stand here, and then they flash E onto you, and then you're dead, and that's bad for you.
So I just took a little peek at the Twitch chat, and they're saying that zone of influence equals lane pressure, and a lot of very raunchy things about you, Michael.
Oh, perfect.
But we're not talking about lane pressure in particular. We're saying like this impacts team fights. This impacts every element of the game, where you could be 40 minutes into a game and you still need to realize like if okay, I'm out of Blitzcrank's hook range, but if he flashes, I can still get hooked. That's the zone of influence. It's the range of the hook plus the flash. There's a lot more to it than just simply the amount of pressure you put out in lane.
Well, okay, and one thing I do want to add is, look, you are somewhat correct in that lane pressure and zones of influence are related. They're not necessarily the same thing, because like I said before, if somebody has no health, then it doesn't matter how long their abilities reach, because if you hit those abilities, you die instantly, right? So you have no lane pressure, like, and your zone of influence it doesn't, those two things aren't necessarily synonymous, right? Because you may be able to hit somebody with your abilities, but it doesn't matter. So you have a zone of influence, but you can't act on it or you'll die, right? So lane pressure is taking advantage of one's zone of influence, relative power spikes, itemization, levels, whatever advantages you've got, and using it to pressure the other person. Either pressure them with CS or pressure them positionally away from the wave.
So
Right.
a good rule of thumb for me for laning is if they press flash, do I die? If yes, I should probably get the fuck out of here. Like I'm too close. Like if they can flash and I die, 98% or more, I should get the fuck out of here. And that's where assassins become bullies partway through the game, right? It's like, yeah, you might poke me, but if I can do 90% of your health bar, you need to stay pretty far away from me, especially if I have a gap closer.
Yeah. Because, I mean, that's particularly with fed assassins, then it just gets gross. Because I don't know how many times people are like, I'm playing against the Zed, this champion is bullshit, I can't do anything. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, he can 100 to 0 you and his ult's up. And if that's the case, I mean, fuck, you have 0 zone of influence while his ult is up. Or you have a zone of influence, you have 0 lane pressure. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't act on your zone of influence, so there you go. Right? So I hope that explains kind of what the difference is. It's really kind of a nebulous thing, but it also, like, it is different. Right? Like, there is a big difference there. Because like I said, when you can only run, and that's your only answer, then your zone of influence doesn't matter because it turns to 0.
You have no influence.
Yeah. Which I guess you'd also say, well, you have no lane pressure either. So, I mean,
But this could happen in the river. That's not lane pressure.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Like
That's
it's within what distance from a champion am I fucked or not fucked?
That, and like, you can extend that concept to like map pressure as well, you know, because anytime somebody leaves the dark, they could die, you know, same kind of concept. Because, yeah, any bush or period of non-vision extends your pressure. So, anyway, I feel like we're hitting circles here, so let's wrap
Let's
this
wrap
thing up.
this motherfucker up, Blake.
So, community games the last few weeks have been amazing. We've had like 20 plus people. We've ran 2 games simultaneously. That's been awesome. So, thank you guys for showing up to that. And the community seems to keep growing like all the time. So, I would remind people community games Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday, the podcasters will be here. Saturday, the community game managers will be there. Either way, there's always fun to be had. Likewise, if there are games played all the time with the hosts, with just the people that are present in the Discord. If you're looking for somebody to play with, hop in and just sit in a room. Everybody's
Especially
pretty friendly.
me. I'm always around. I'm always playing League.
Yeah.
That's
Michael's
my
like
favorite thing to do.
goddamn Casper the Friendly Ghost around here. He just shows up at Thursday at 8 p.m. Except he's not really friendly and he doesn't have Casper's personality. He's more like one of Casper's shitty uncles
You mean
that just
Casper the
comes
bitch?
by to like rattle
Is that who you're
chains
talking
and be
about?
obnoxious.
He is pretty white. He does not go outside.
What does that make you then, Brad?
Homie, I was hiking in the mountains of goddamn Wyoming this week. Get at me.
That's the whitest activity that can be done by mankind.
In the whitest
I got
state in the
tan,
union.
bruh. I
by
got
the
tan, bruh.
If you're black in Wyoming, they shoot
did
you on
his release
sight.
party
I'm
for his
just
last
being
album.
honest.
Kanye
Like-
did his release party for his last album. Miss
Exactly.
Jackson.
and Kanye-
Don't you come at me.
Are you saying that Kanye doesn't have a proclivity for doing
I'm
things that are
saying he's
traditionally
not
white?
Super white. He is he
Physically,
is not
maybe
white.
not. Mentally, though, come on.
Nah, for
Like,
real though. Did y'all know what like real mountain weather is? Because I learned. We were on a hike. We were 3 miles into this hike up a fucking mountain, right? And all's going well. And then all of a sudden, boom, thunderclap, hail out of nowhere. And I was getting pelted with hail. I was like, I have a t-shirt on. I'm not prepared for this. I don't love it. I'm not a fan. I could do with other sorts of weather. And
you
then
see, like, all of a sudden, all the Wyomings around you just, like, take out full padded
they
jackets and
for
put 'em
real
on.
did. It was like a fucking goof.
They're like,
then-
look at this dumb asshole foreigner. Didn't
So we
even bring
fucking-
his powdered
we
summer
fucking-
jacket. What a
Hi-
dipshit.
we hike our dumbasses back down the mountain, then take a fucking boat because you got to take a boat to get to this trail. Anyways, and then I had like a very much like 1980s TV moment where I'm outside of a restaurant, starts hailing again, way more hail. Like we're talking like half the size of a marble hail. This shit was not a joke. But then there's a Ferrari, a bright red Ferrari, getting hailed on. And it's parked in a handicap spot with no handicap tags. And it was like, this is a thing that happens in movies. There's no way that like a douchebag with a Ferrari with no handicap tags is parked in a handicap spot and just getting hailed on and the car's getting destroyed. And the alarm goes off. Like it was perfect. I was like, I'm living a movie right now. This is my movie.
Whenever you said it was like a 90s movie, I assumed you meant like somebody walked would be like, "Hey, Blossom, what's going on?" You know, something like that. Like zany characters. Is what
I
was
remember the
thinking of.
90s, guys.
April O'Neil was the reporter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And, like some happening turtles just appeared on the scene and Kung Fu fought some dudes wearing purple. Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I don't know that we call him.
Holy shit! I've never had that happen in my life.
What did you just do?
A fly just landed on my open eyeball. What the fuck?
On that note,
Like, how does that even happen?
sign us off, Blake.
All right. Hey,
there's
so
no coming back from this.
fuck. That is awkward. Okay, so community
That
games.
fly was employed by me, by the way.
I saw Michael's lips moving, but no words were coming out. It was like a Harry Potter spell.
He was fucking like
I was mumbling
marionetting the fly into your eye.
Yeah, he's like speaking whatever parcel tongue is for flies. Anyway, so that being said,
tongue.
I have no. You know, there was a fly villain in Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
You remember what was his name? It was like
Wasn't it
Doctor.
the fly?
No. He was like a doctor that got some ooze on him, and then a fly landed on the ooze, which is like super unfortunate if you're gonna be an animal.
How did no one have a cool thing fall onto the ooze? Like no one wanted to be a fucking boar.
No, there was a boar. His name was Bebop.
Yeah, I know. No one wanted to beat that. Like that sucks.
Baxter Stockman. That was his name. He was a doctor.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, he got fucked in terms of, one, both his like entire being and his action figure sucked because his weapon was a fly swatter. Why would you pick a weapon that literally only hurts yourself and your own species? A fly swatter does nothing against anyone else.
Wasn't he the first level boss in one of the arcade games? I think it was Ninja Turtles 2 or Turtles in Time.
You know, he
was the first level boss. He had that gun that like shot out the hand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I remember that. That's legit. But yeah, no, poor Baxter Stockman, man. You could have had any other badass animal, like a cougar could have landed in your lap, and then you could be Cougar Man. But he had a fly. Sucks.
Well, you might say that about Spider-Man.
Spiders are like, okay, they're tiny and they scare humans because they are fucking crazy, merciless killers, even for their size. You put that in like a human-sized package? Fucking A, yeah, that's scary. What do you think about a fly? There's nothing that can be made better. Like, a human-sized fly. What's it gonna do? Land on my open eyeball and mildly annoy me? Like
flies are the flies of the insect world.
But then again, I mean, turtles aren't really that badass either, except snapping.
At least they have like hard bits.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something with it. I mean, if you train them to be ninjas, I guess.
All right, can we fuck off now?
Yeah, no, we're good. Hey, thank you guys for showing up to community games. Keep showing up. This has been wildly successful. And
can everybody not verbally assault me in the Twitch chat, please? It's
getting tired.
It's excessive.
I heard something about someone getting pegged. It was either you or me.
It was me.
They're talking about corn cobbing you, Michael?
Yeah.
Has that caught on? Is that a thing now?
On a drill where it spins.
Oh, that's like some Saw level corn cobbing.
All right.
So anyway, Yeah, that's saw. They had like the buckets with the chains,
Blake?
and then there are a whole bunch of corn
Blake?
cobs on the wall. You just got
Blake?
slowly corn cobbed. Anyway, thank you guys. Community games Wednesday, Saturday. Keep showing up to those. Other than that, just pop in the room to hang out. It's cool to hang out with everybody. Thank you all, and good night, everybody.
The image of Blake explaining what corn cobbing is will be forever burned into my brain.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Bye,
you
guys.
should try popcorn cobbing.
Later.